started sailing when I was nearly 50 because I got the chance to go down to Cowes with a group of boys, and I started learning dinghy sailing, and then eventually I had the chance to do what's called in England a competent crew course, which gives you a taste of just about everything on the boat that you need to know. And I thought it was going to be totally boring. You know, I thought I'd seen these people coming into Cowes to kind of to dock their boat and standing around, not doing very much. And I thought, I think I'd rather be laser sailing or windsurfing. But when I actually went out for the week's course, it was just amazing. We were on a Sigma 33, weather like today, bright sun, but good wind, and a very good instructor. And it was just fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I loved the not just the sailing side of things, but also everything else to do with the getting more like cruising. There was just so much to it. We suddenly realised, the two of us, my husband and I, realised that we were both looking at simultaneous early retirement. And we had been thinking about getting a boat of some kind, a second-hand boat maybe. So we thought, okay, let's go for it, let's get a boat, and then when we retire, we'll just go cruising. We actually ended up having gone down the Spanish and Portuguese coasts and round into the Mediterranean. We came away from Gibraltar and crossed the Atlantic. We did the Atlantic Rally for Cruisers, the Ark of '99, and that was our first major ocean crossing. Unfortunately, we had getting on for 5 years of cruising altogether, and my husband was diagnosed just the week before 2011, in fact, with cancer. So we rushed back to England to get his treatment going, and eventually I got him back out onto the boat, kept on going, although he was going downhill, better that he was on the boat than not. So I was able to do everything on the boat that was necessary because we both got our qualifications together. And then when he passed away, I scattered his ashes off the Bonaire, Klondike, and then I decided I just didn't want to stop being on the boat, basically. It was too nice a life, and too many good friends around that you've made in the meantime, helping you look after the boat, helping you do things on the boat. And first of all, I was trying to get people to come and join me, thinking I would go up to Fort Lauderdale and get the dockwise to take the boat around to BC, to British Columbia in Canada, so that we could go, so that I could do a rally that was over here with some friends that I knew already from the Caribbean who were going to come over and do it. But eventually I put out emails, and various friends said, oh, we can maybe help you with this leg or that leg or the other leg. Eventually not a single one turned up. I soon learned that if I wanted to keep sailing, I was going to have to do it by myself. Okay, yeah, so I've got to service all my winches, ready for my attempt at the oldest person record this time, instead of the oldest woman, around the world non-stop. But we're not going to go non-stop anywhere if our winches aren't working. So I have to give them a good clean and grease. And it's not difficult. I actually quite enjoy doing it because they're so beautifully made, these winches. So what I'll be doing is taking this all to bits, which is quite fun. Clean it up, re-grease it, and the same with all the others. Right, so there's the thing that I need to get a bit longer, if I can. We'll see. Just squash it right down. I have a technique that works quite well. Surprising, actually, a whole month of these fills my little waste bin here. So I only have to change that once a month. Surprising how much you can squash things down. Squash the air out of it. There we go. What I need to do is, I put the eggs into into bubble plastic or cushioning inside the box, and then I tie the box to the front of the locker lid, so I can just quickly untie it and turn them over every day. Once a day turning, lasted 4 months. And no Vaseline, no grease, none of this other stuff that people traditionally have said you've got to do. Just fresh eggs turn. Eventually I actually went down to Mexico, stopping everywhere on the way, because I hadn't done the west coast of the States either. And then I thought, well, I don't know, I think I'm supposed to be going on around the world, maybe I'd better step off and do that. So I went around the cruising way, stopping everywhere, but trying to get around fairly quickly. I in fact aimed for 1 year, and I figured out I could do that, except when it came to the pinch, I had to get repairs in Trinidad, and then I had to get repairs in Panama. And anyway, there was a hold up getting through the canal in Panama. So it took me 15 months, in fact, to get round, but I didn't quite make the last step because I was just taking off from Acapulco to get back to Zihuatanejo, and I unfortunately lost my boat. So I got off the boat. I had people in Mexico who were amazingly helpful, and got a lot of stuff off the boat, salvage stuff, with a view to my next boat. I mean, there wasn't in my mind any question of anything but continuity. I didn't want to be anywhere but on a boat cruising around. When I got the new boat was being built in Sweden. I had a ship down to England to start off down the Atlantic. Which way am I going to go? And I was thinking I'd come back down to the States to do the single-handed transpac race that I did in '06. And I thought, well, I'm going to be coming down the Atlantic. I'll turn around, go around South Africa and back up. Hang on, why not go around Cape Horn and complete the circumnavigation, which I hadn't quite done. So that's what made me change my mind. I thought, well, it'd be interesting to see what it's like single-handing, non-stop, unassisted. It makes a lot of difference when you can't stop anywhere and you have to fix everything on the boat that breaks. So I thought, well, we'll see how it goes, And I'll be watching myself to see how I do, how I cope. Because people are saying, well, how are you going to be okay? I said, well, I don't know, we'll find out. Unless you try it, you don't know. So that's what got me going first on my first non-stop attempt. And then after that, well, the rest of it is history. And I tried a couple of times, had problems with the rigging and a few things, had to come into South Africa. I did go around the 5 Great Capes. I thought, well, out of this negative, you've got to make some positive, because I was pretty devastated. I thought everything was going to work fine, and it hadn't. And then the next time I tried to do my non-stop, I actually managed it. So that was great. Finally got back after 259 days at sea, 8.5 months without setting foot on land. I was pretty pleased about that.
Marine information broadcast concerning a deadhead near Nereida, listen general to
Take me away, me away, take me away, me away, take me away.
It was really the challenge of doing a non-stop, because I'd done enough cruising and stopping everywhere to know, how often things will break down on the boat. I mean, the use of everything on the boat was so intensive, Fortunately, I've got a pretty logical mind, I'm a mathematician with a physics degree actually, so I had a good background that helped to give me some chance of tackling things that broke down. And I always say anyway, if it's something mechanical, if I've seen what's happened, why it's broken down, then there's a chance I can fix it. Or you just say, okay, I'll do without it. Some things you can do without, no problem. I do have a sextant, I do have my tables. If I need to, I can revert to the sextant. And in fact, that's something I am hoping to try and practice while I'm going around this time. It's very easy to just rely on the GPS and not do it. And if you don't do it, you get rusty, you forget how to do it. So I'd quite like to do that again. Like when my wind transducer went at the top of the mast last time, I was actually without wind information, electronic wind information, for 6 months of my 8.5 months. Well, I coped, I managed. The non-stop was definitely a challenge. Could I keep the boat? I was sure that I would be okay. It's a matter of can I keep the boat going? I think determination basically is what you need plenty of, not giving up too easily. Because obviously if you're trying to fix things, or if things are, the weather's getting a bit nasty, you have to be prepared, okay, it'll pass, or yeah, I can fix this, we just have to figure out how. Just being out in the middle of the ocean, you feel as though it's all yours, and you've maybe got the albatrosses and the shearwaters and the petrels. I love the storm petrels, they dangle their feet in the water almost. And the albatrosses, you see them from a distance, they're very distinctive by shape, and they're just mostly gliding. They're amazing. They come quite close and they're looking at you eye to eye. That's an amazing feeling, and there's just no one else out there. You know that you're thousands of miles away from shore, and it's just you in the ocean, the sky, the sea. It's just fantastic. I love it.